Welcome back. Let's make it 3-3 on Sunday, shall we? Man City, the Etihad, Sunday afternoon, big game. And I think there are 3 key aspects to this game, which we'll break down in a minute. But first, I want to say something about the big picture, and hopefully calm some nerves. I recently appeared on the SDS podcast, link in the description, and I was asked how I was feeling ahead of the match. I said one simple word: confident. Fuizzi, a Liverpool fan, seemed taken aback by that, but I doubled down. And here's why. If Arsenal fans can't feel confident going into this game, when we've won both times we've faced them this season, albeit by fine margins, but absolutely going toe-to-toe with them football-wise, our attacking numbers are climbing, and we already have some of the best defensive numbers in Europe, and are well ahead of City this season for a load of key metrics, including expected goal difference per 90, goals scored, goals against, pressing, field tilt, so on and so on. We're on course for a second consecutive record-breaking year goal-scoring-wise. We have almost a full squad available with only a few doubts here and there. Only Man City have got more Premier League wins than Arsenal against the Big Six since Arteta's appointment in 2019. And City have had only 8 clean sheets all season, with only 1 coming against the traditional Big Six side, for now, in United. If we can't feel confident now, when can we? I'm not saying we're going to win. I'll give you my full prediction at the end. But I am saying I'm confident, and let's see. I often feel when we're facing the likes of Man City or Bayern, for example, we hear the name and we go, we've lost, before we actually even start to look at the matchups. Saka v Bernardo Silva on the right. At least a conversation. I'd pick Saka. Martinelli or Doku. I'd go for Martinelli. Gabriel and Saliba or Diaz and Stones. At least a conversation. I'd pick our guys based on this season. Walker and Ake, or White and Tommy or Zinni or Kivior. I'd probably go for the City players, but it's close. We're not miles away, is the point. And when we consider the moment we're playing them in, top of the league and on our best run of form arguably ever under Arteta in the league, if we can't be at least confident now, we've got another problem. It's City away, it's the end of the season, I get that. But what we've done to get here is focus on the process and the football, and then everything else takes care of itself. So, what are those processes? What are the 3 key things to consider ahead of Sunday? Number 1, the out of possession structure. I have to give credit here to Rohan Jivan, who is at RJ Arsenal blog on X, for a brilliant article on Gunners Town that helped me on this. At the start of the season, Mikel spoke about using 43 formations in the game against City in the Community Shield in a brilliant press conference moment. While I think it was partly a shut up, I know what I'm doing tactic for the media, it also confirmed something that we've all seen: Arsenal's adaptability. Last season, we spent a lot of time going man for man in the press. But this season, we've seen a lot more adaptability in terms of how we set up our possession, especially in big games. With small triggers for dropping into a more settled zonal press, a mid-block, a man for man when necessary, and so on. And the perfect example is the Community Shield against Man City. Here, Arsenal are happy for City to have an overload in the first phase, as pressing them man for man, as we did against Brighton, for example, would be a bit kamikaze. So we're in a more zonal structure here, if you like, i.e. Odegaard and Rice are shielding those entry passes in the middle, and Martinelli isn't quite stepped up on Walker, just holding that ground. You can't see Saka on the other side, but he is doing the same. Havertz's role is to cover a large zone dependent on where the ball goes, but also, as was Nketiah and Jesus' role in the first game, to form those curving runs on the goalkeeper to push City to the left. We clearly feel Stones is the bigger threat on the ball, and I suspect we'll do that again on Sunday if he is fit. Formation 1, if you want to call it that, though I am sure Arteta sees it differently. Formation 2, the ball coming over is the trigger. We flip into more of a man-to-man in the press as we try to force City long. You can see that with Martinelli stepping onto Walker, Havertz on Stones, the 2 midfield men covered. But crucially, the players currently not on screen are now stepping in to support the men on the ball side in that man-for-man press, which you now see here. Gabriel stepping in with Timber 2 as Partey covers the gap in behind now created, and Arsenal form that cage we see a lot. And City can't progress. Formation 3, again, arguably, Rodri is now dropping between the centre-backs as a 3, but instead of following him, that seems to be the trigger to step back into more of a 4-4-2 mid-block, something we're so organised and experienced at now. You can see us, through our compact distancing, inviting City to play outside of our block. They can't have those central areas. City are forced to play it wide, and seemingly the trigger here is when the ball goes to Akanji, similar to Walker on the other side, which is when Saka applies the pressure, the team squeezes, and they're forced back. Forget formation numbers, you get the point. Rodri is now in the middle of the block, which appears to be the trigger for something slightly different again, which is Rice stepping up a little bit and Partey dropping back a little bit to disjoin that 4-4-2 mid-block in the middle. Saka and Martinelli protect the pockets more now, sitting even narrower as there's less cover. It's such good detail from Arteta. Then, when Rodri receives, it's Rice's trigger to jump, and we know he does that so well, helped by his starting position. By the way, as Rohan has brilliantly pointed out, notice that Saka has found himself at centre forward, so Havertz fills in on the right. This is Arteta ball. Everyone knows what they need to do based on the zone of the pitch, rather than their specific position. Rice wins the ball, obviously. It triggers our more man-for-man structure as they go wide, and we regain possession. It's triggers, little actions that provoke a certain response. We may look like we're just waiting off the ball, but we're really not. To win on Sunday, we have to get those triggers right. We'll be spending less time in possession, so it's crucial, and the timing and the specificity on those triggers is important too. I can't sit here and tell you, oh, Mikel's definitely going to say, when Kovacic stands here, then Saka needs to be here, because I can't read his mind yet. But I can tell you there'll be lots of thinking going on right now about what to do in certain scenarios. Here's one that I've thought of as an example. City will have De Bruyne, unlike at the Emirates, and De Bruyne, as Rodri can do from central zones, will kill you if he gets time in the right half space. Arteta will be more than aware of that, so we might see this trigger. Let's just imagine this scenario with this set of players. Getting that ball into De Bruyne will be based on how well Walker and Stones manage that progression. And in this situation, Bernardo and Doku are hugging the touchline to create as much space as possible for him to operate centrally. Ball comes over to Walker, who will be fit, don't fall for it, and City want to make those wall passes off Bernardo inside to KDB. So, when the ball is with Walker, and again it's the specificity on the triggers, when he opens his body out to pass, that's the trigger. Martinelli jumps to apply pressure. We want our most aggressive defender in Gabriel to apply pressure on De Bruyne's back for the highest chance of success. This, of course, means Haaland is free, so Rice drops in. Havertz covers that entry pass inside. Kivior also closes the gap to Bernardo, so that pass is too risky, and City reset. Of course, in reality, City would just start doing different things if that wasn't working, but this video is already too long. This stuff is going to be key and fascinating for nerds like me. And who knows, Pep might throw a curveball. After all, Mikel said Pep surprised him with how he used Bernardo Silva in the game at the Emirates last season. Either way, this will be crucial to limiting City's chances. By the way, you can find Rohan and I nerding out every Thursday night at 7 PM on the TDK Live channel, link in the description. Number 2, the main men. There's many individuals who could potentially win or lose this game for us. Saka, if fit, can play a key role. Saliba and Gabriel's individual battles against Haaland will be fascinating, and we may need to rely on our bench for a game-changing moment in what is sure to be a tight game with few clear-cut chances. But the player I want to focus on, maybe weirdly, is David Raya. Mikel said something fascinating about Raya after the City game at the Emirates, and I think it's key to understanding his relevance in this matchup and why I want to focus on him. Now Raya just is the undisputed number 1, we forget how much nervous energy there was in that reverse game about how Raya played as we, as fans, adapted to him. He nearly got caught on the ball from a Man City press, looked, quote, nervous to some, and was criticised heavily by Gary Neville on commentary, which I absolutely loved. Mikel was asked about that reaction post-game, and specifically about how long it took Raya to release the ball, and here's what he said. "It's all my fault. They can boo me because I asked them to do that. If you start to do other things, especially against this team, you get in big, big trouble." He praised a few of his qualities, including his command of the box and his cross-claiming, and he finished by saying this. "He's got big ones. When the crowd goes like this, other players, I've seen it, they start to kick balls everywhere. I said to him, you don't do it, and at the end, he got rewarded." Interestingly, Carl Walker revealed on Rio Ferdinand's podcast that Pep isn't a fan of the phrase man-to-man, or certainly doesn't think it's an accurate descriptor of what happens, as often teams don't actually press the goalkeeper, so it can't be considered man-to-man because you always have an overload. I'll still use it as it's good shorthand, but surprise, surprise, Pep makes a good point. And that means the spare man's qualities, in many cases the goalkeeper, becomes way more important in this type of football. Raya's ability to step out so comfortably as an option in build-up, open out his body to receive on the back foot, play with less touches, delay his actions, put his foot on the ball, be a midfielder in goal, essentially, is going to be so crucial on Sunday. I doubt City will press us as aggressively as they have in the past, but who knows how they adapt across the game. We'll need a goalkeeper who, if he is the spare man, shows those big ones to be courageous enough to bait that press to open up those spaces elsewhere on the pitch. It's going to be crucial to playing through them, and look how it worked against Liverpool. But we also need someone who can save us at the other end when it happens, and this stat is crazy. David Raya has stopped 14.9% of his crosses in the Premier League this season, despite facing the 18th highest volume in the league. To put that in context, the next best is Martinez with 11%, and the Premier League average is 6.7%. Raya is the best in Europe's top 5 leagues comfortably, by the way, with La Liga's best being Lunin at 10.6%, Serie A being Magnon at 10.9%, Bundesliga being Zentner at Mainz with 10.8%, and Ligue 1's being Clermont Foot's Dior at 9.4%. This isn't actually verified, so please don't take my word for it, but I think I've seen people say this actually hasn't been done, so if you could help me out with that and check that out for me, I'd appreciate it. That proactivity off his line, the height he plays with, the situations he stops before they even occur, which Mikel refers to, that is going to be key to shutting City out. I'd also like to highlight Jesus' energy in the press, which could help with the more vulnerable players in the City back line if he plays and curves his runs. Rice, of course, and Saka, who we missed a lot in the reverse fixture. I pray he'll be fit, and I think he will be, but Raya is my main man. How the game's changed. Number 3, the moments. I have no doubt, as I've laid out, this will be a heavy tactical chess game. So this game will be defined by moments, as it was at the Emirates and at Wembley. And unfortunately, much as I'm sure Mikel would like to, we can't control that. The entire narrative of a team in a season and millions of pounds can rest on the position of a knee. Or, for example, just plucking something out of complete thin air. Maybe the referees forget to draw the lines. I can't imagine that would happen in the best league in the world. But, for an example, all we can do is focus on our process. Can my body shape be right for this next action? Can I stay present, not let the occasion get to me? If we go behind, can we not get discouraged and keep playing the way Mikel wants? These are the key questions that take care of the moments. You can't predict the waves, but you can build a better surfboard. The fans can get caught up in what this all means for the title race and so on, but all the players must do is focus on the task at hand and get every action, position, movement, and pass right. If we do that, it'll add up, and that is in our control. Before Porto, Mikel spoke about emotional control, and though he wanted something different from the fans, he wanted the players to push through in the right moments. Understand that games go through different periods, and when to step onto teams and go for the jugular and when not to is another aspect of controlling these difficult matches and moments. One of the big differences I've seen in this team this season compared to last is that understanding of the rhythm and waves of games. Last season, we were gas pedal on pretty much the whole time until we crashed. I'm not just putting it down to him, but Jorginho coming in for Partey I think is a big part of this. He knows what the game needs at what times, and sometimes that is to put your foot on it. The reason I mention this is this. Arsenal are brilliant at football. We are not good at basketball. We don't want to play basketball end to end, especially away from home. So reverse engineering this, to get those moments to go in our favour, that is what we need to focus on and be efficient in both boxes when those moments arise. I am confident. I'm predicting a draw. I'm going to go 1-1. But I am confident that we have the ability now to win it if the moments go in our favour. This isn't David and Goliath anymore. I know our team, my team, your team will turn up even if it doesn't fall in our favour. And that makes me the most confident I've been going to the Etihad in a very long time. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And come on, you Gunners. If you like The Different Knock, you can support us on Patreon monthly, or you can buy us a coffee.